All right, welcome to another episode of Around the County with Supervisor Jim Desmond. I'm Miles Himmel, Communications Director for District 5, and we've got a wonderful guest with us here today, Dr. Marsha Spitzer, Chief of Pediatrics Clinical Support for Family Health Centers of San Diego. I kind of gave you a little intro there, Dr. Spitzer, but if you don't mind, kind of tell the audience, who are you?
Great. Well, thanks for the introduction, and thank you for having me here today. So that's one hat I wear. I am a pediatrician for one of our large FQHCs here in San Diego, Family Health Centers of San Diego. And I also, my other hat I wear is that I am part of the American Academy of Pediatrics California Chapter 3, which is our local chapter of the AAP. And as part of that, I'm the medical director for Reach Out and Read San Diego.
And that's kind of what we wanted to talk to you here today. What is Reach Out and Read San Diego for people that aren't familiar?
No, it's a great question. So Reach Out and Read is actually a national program that started just over 30 years ago in Boston. Really is a recognition that pediatricians and pediatric practices have many, many contacts with families long before they have contacts in the educational system. So they started putting used books in their waiting room at Boston City Hospital and the Peds Clinic, and the used books would disappear by the end of the day. So instead of getting upset that people were taking the books, they saw that as an opportunity and a need that wasn't being met, that clearly children in their clinic wanted to have books and did not have enough at home. And so Reach Out and Read developed from that. We've been doing Reach Out and Read in San Diego since the mid-90s, and it's a really simple concept. It basically involves a pediatric office and a pediatrician or a pediatric healthcare provider giving a new, beautiful language and culturally appropriate book to a family when they come for the well-child visits between 6 months and 5 years, which is 10 total visits. And then not only just handing over the book, but talking about the importance of sharing books with family, sometimes modeling how to read the book with the family, and using that as a way also to kind of talk about your child's development. And then in non-COVID times, we also have what we could like to call literacy-rich waiting areas. So at our Family Health Centers clinics, we have used books in the waiting room, and we have used books in all the exam rooms that families are welcome to take home with them. Obviously, right now with COVID, we're not able to do the used book part, but the rest of it continues as it always has.
Wow, that sounds great. So you say you try to reach children, I guess, before they get into the educational system. So is this like age 3, 4, 5? Is that kind of what the focus is?
Yeah, so it's actually 6 months to 5 years. And the reason why is that children, like 80% of their brain growth happens in the first 3 years. So if we wait to think about educational interventions like reading until the 3, 4, 5, we've missed one of the best opportunities. So we really focus on kids under 5. And the idea is to kind of promote to parents that you can read with a very young child. They don't have to be ready to read themselves yet. So if you think about having a 6-month-old in your lap and you're sharing a book, it's not necessarily that you're reading Hamlet from beginning to end. It may be a really simple board book with one picture on each page. That child may pick up the book and put the book in their mouth because that's what children do at 6 months. And so I'll talk to parents about how important it is to just let the child run the show. So if the child just wants to hold that book and show off their new motor skills of open, close, open, close, open, close the book, that's great. If a child's sitting there waiting, then a parent absolutely can talk about the book, read the book. I like giving board books to little kids because those are the pages that they can use their fingers, they can open and close. We like to give small board books so a little hand can hold it. And babies love to see pictures of other babies. So a lot of the books I give out for the 6-month, 9-month, 1 year are those real simple board books with a picture of a baby, happy baby, sad baby, or baby drinking a bottle, baby eating a strawberry, because those are images that babies relate to because it's like looking in the mirror for them. When you move on to the older kids, sort of that 3 to 5 age group, we are doing more of the traditional storybooks with paper pages, and I'll use the book not only as an opportunity to talk about the importance of reading, but also to kind of gauge a child's development. So if I'm working with a 4-year-old, it's a great way, instead of asking the parents, oh, does your 4-year-old know their colors? Do they know their shapes? Are they starting to recognize letters? It's much more fun to give the book and ask the child, like, do you see anything green on this page? Can you pick out a circle on this page? And so showing parents that it's not just reading the story from beginning to end, but there's lots of other ways to interact with the book.
Wow. So, and this is the Reach Out and Read. So how many do you have any idea how many pediatrician offices in San Diego County that are engaged in using this, or are you?
Mhm.
I'm just kind of. It sounds like a great program.
Yeah, it's a fantastic program. We are in just over 100 offices. We're in 101 offices around the county. We also support a few offices in Imperial County as well. And we are in all the major health plans. So Kaiser, Sharp, Scripps, UCSD, CPCMG, which is a large pediatric group, the military, and a lot of the federally qualified health centers. And we have just over 400 either pediatricians, family medicine, nurse practitioners, or PAs who are involved here in San Diego.
Oh, well, I mean, just one of the things we have a couple of kids that they're in their 30s now, but it really made a difference. I noticed, or we noticed, if you read to your kids early, how much better they do in school and how they they excel, and for the those that are able to read, and actually my daughter's a school teacher at in Valley Center at Lilac Elementary School, and my wife has been reading to kids on Zoom as part of her classroom. Some of her kids at different reading levels, and reading with them at Zoom. And even though we're in COVID times, you can get 6 or 10 kids in a room or in a Zoom room and read to them and keep their attention, and they seem to enjoy it, especially if you can put the picture, or I'm sorry, the book up on the screen. That seems to be, since everybody's on their phone and tablets now these days, a very good effort for trying to get a leg up there with education and reading. It's always been a big effort in my office and just for us here locally. So, I'm sure you have donations, fundraisers. How did people get involved?
Right, so that's a great question. We are supported largely through grants from people like your office, so thank you. We've been very generously supported by the boards of supervisors, as well as First Five San Diego. We've also been supported by. We have some foundations and individual donors, and even, I mean, we have people who just donate books. They hear about the program, they want to give us new books, they want to give us used books. We have physicians who, when their offices start to run out, they love the program so much, they'll just go out and spend their own money on buying books as well.
So right now you can't put used books out. So are you still putting new books out? Is that what you're having to do at this point in time? Huh?
Correct. Yeah. So we've pulled our used books just out of an abundance of caution with COVID. But with our new books, we're still giving those out because we keep those also at my clinics. We have them in a cupboard divided by age and by language. And so that's just one book that the physician is handing straight to the family. So minimal infection risk with those. And, right now, because so many other venues that families might use to get new books or borrowed books, like libraries, like Head Starts, child care centers, kindergarten and TK, because so many of those are closed. We may be one of the few avenues for low-income families to access new books right now. So coming to the pediatrician's office, for some of the families I've seen, is one of the few times they've brought their kids outside, since the pandemic started. And so it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to hand them a new book that they can take home and add to their family library at a time when, just going to the library or going to Head Start or something isn't really possible.
Yeah. Miles, did you have a question?
Yeah, Dr. Spitzer, I don't know, I don't mean to put you on the spot like this, but do you have any kind of
Sure.
personal stories, or I'm sure you've seen so many kids kind of develop through this program, or just kind of when they first started out. Do you have any kind of personal stories that stick out?
Sure. I mean, that's there's a lot of them. I could go on probably for the rest of the day on them, but I think a couple. I mean, one of them is, and this is not any one child. This has happened over and over again. I'll give a book at 6 months, and families will come back at 9 months for the next well-child visit with me, and they'll pull out this board book that has been gnawed to oblivion almost, right? And they'll tell me, like, we read this book every night. And that just sings to my heart as a pediatrician. It makes me so happy that the families have been able to engage. One of the ones on the older end, this was before we had to pull used books, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Junie B. Jones series. It's a series of books written for kind of kindergarten, first grader, about a little girl named Junie B. Jones, who definitely has a mind of her own and gets into trouble a lot. And my girls are teenagers. They read those books. We read them out loud as a family. And I had a little girl come in probably about a year ago before COVID. And she had told me she was super excited. She had just learned how to read chapter books. So she was out of our age group for Reach Out and Read, but we still keep talking about reading. And she, we were talking about our favorite books, and she mentioned that she liked Junie B. Jones. And I knew that I'd just gotten a donation of very, very gently used, almost brand new Junie B. Jones books. So I went and got one for her, and she grabbed it, and her whole face, she just went, ah. And then she looked at her mom, and she looked at me, and she said, when do I have it to give it back to you? And I said, no, you can keep it. And her whole face just lit up. And she said, you mean I can take it home and read it every day and it's mine? And I said, this is for you. And that just made me so happy to see how excited she was, and how happy her mom was, and how proud her mom was that her reading skills were coming along. So it was also a good opportunity for me to turn to mom and say, I can tell you guys we're reading at home already because she's so far along in her reading skills. That tells me that you guys have been embracing this at home as well.
What a cool thing. What a great story.
Thanks.
Well, it's really nice to hear a non-political, non-COVID story.
I'm sure. Yeah.
It's great. So is there a website? How can people get involved? If they hear this podcast, and it pulls at their heartstrings, how can they help?
Great. Yeah. So there are two websites actually. One is www.rorsd.org. That is our local Reach Out and Read San Diego website. You can also go to our AAP chapter website because Reach Out and Read San Diego is part of our AAP chapters programs, and that is www.aapca3.org. And there is a donate button there if you are feeling like you would like to support our goals to continue to purchase new books for families. You can donate. There's also a volunteer button. And again, volunteer options are a little bit different right now, but traditionally we have volunteers help us sort new books, sort used books, make donations, or make deliveries to offices where we've been able to collect books for them. So that's all there. And we are able, all of our sites in San Diego and Imperial counties give out about 135,000 books per year. We gave out our millionth book about a year and a half ago, which was pretty amazing. And the Reach Out and Read San Diego group actually provides about 40% of those books. So about 47,000 of those books. So when you're donating to Reach Out and Read San Diego, you're directly supporting the purchase of books going into offices and into children's hands.
Well, thank you so very much, Dr. Spitzer, for letting us know about the Reach Out and Read San Diego. And this isn't just the city of San Diego, but the county of San Diego.
Correct.
So great organization. We always have people wondering how they can help in different ways, and this is certainly a way to do that. And thanks for doing this. This is
Sure.
I realize you're a pediatrician. You're highly trained in many aspects of health and for children, and this educational aspect of Reach Out and Read is very I think it's going to help kids throughout their entire lives. And thanks for doing this, and
Sure.
and we appreciate you having you on.
Yeah, thank you. I always appreciate getting to tell more people about this amazing program.
All right, Reach Out and Read San Diego. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Doctor.